Well, it's been a while since I've made a video. I've been having lots of fun with FSEconomy, touring the country and driving passengers around from place to place. After starting in Raleigh-Durham, I've worked myself around the eastern part of the country and I've ended up now in New Mexico. New Mexico is a fun place to explore with all the high mountains, deserts, historic military sites, and some mysterious places too. Los Alamos, White Sands, Roswell. New Mexico is a great place for VFR too, with the big blue skies and wide open spaces, giving me the opportunity to return to a form of flying that I really love. The altitudes take some getting used to though. It's not unusual to be flying along at 10,000 feet and only be a couple of hundred feet above the ground. And most of the airports are uncontrolled strips with little or no instrument capability at all. You kind of want to just throw out all the rules and fly. Today I'm taking an assignment to fly two photographers from a little place called White River to a most historically significant location, Condron Army Airfield on the premises of White Sands Missile Proving Grounds. White Sands Proving Grounds was established in 1945 and has been used to test nearly every missile system in the U.S. inventory. And of course, this is the test site of the very first atomic bomb, Trinity, which occurred on July the 16th, 1945. Condron was evidently closed somewhere between 2009 and 2015, but if you look at the field now on Google Maps, you see that it's still pretty much intact. The hangars and buildings are still there, as well as the runways and taxiways. I was a little bit surprised to find that the field is modeled in X-plane. I guess Austin and the boys saw the significance of it and just decided to leave it in. I'm glad they did. I decided, however, to pretend that the field was not in either X-plane or GPS database. This gave me an opportunity to do a little sectional work and freshen up on using VORs, which I haven't done for a while. I began the flight by dragging out a sectional chart of the area. It's amazing how many restricted areas there are. I chose just to ignore these in the interest of having fun on this flight. I mean, it's a flight sim, right? And you can see White River in the upper left-hand corner of the chart here, E24. And down in the lower right-hand corner you see a little circle with an X in it. And just above that is the label that reads White Sands, which is the now no longer active Condron Army Airfield. And if you measure the distance between those 2 points, it's about 200 miles. I decided to enter Las Caixas International, KLRU, as a direct to in my GPS, which gets me on the outbound radial of the VOR Deming just to the west of that airport. So drawing a line from the Deming VOR over to WSD, we're looking at a radial of about 75 degrees. Since I have no DME information as to how far I need to go, I decided to use the VOR Newman to pinpoint that location. So drawing a line up from that point, we're looking at a radial of about 330 degrees up to WSD. That means I'll fly GPS until I intercept the Deming outbound radial, then switch over to VLOC and fly that radial until the needle on the Newman VOR centers. That should place me right over Condron. So the setup involves entering the Deming VOR 108.6 into the top receiver, dialing in 075 degrees, and the Newman VOR 112.4 into the bottom receiver with a radial of 330 degrees. When the Deming VOR comes to life, I'll simply toggle the autopilot from GPS to VLOC and finish the trip by watching for the Newman VOR needle to center. Since I can't be sure my calculations are correct, I'll remain at cruising altitude until I visually locate Condron. Hopefully I'll be able to see the field. As you can see, the altitudes are pretty high. Looking at the sectional, we have 11,800 feet just pretty much right away as soon as I take off. And then we have another mountain range right before I get to the destination area of 10,400. And since I'm flying east, I'll choose a cruising altitude of 13,500. So now that we've done our homework, let's hop in the plane and set things up. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about this Piper Arrow that I'm flying. It's a vFlyteAir Arrow III that I got off of xplane.org. The thing was $12 on sale. I couldn't resist it. I've always loved arrows. So I got this plane, and it's pretty good. In all honesty, it's got some problems. It really gets squirrely on takeoffs and landings. And what I realize is that for some reason the rudder just doesn't have very good control. Once the plane gets up some speed and starts to get light on the wheels, it really wants to ground loop, and it's really squirrely. It's really not that bad, but if you're not paying attention, it will definitely get the best of you. But hey, it's hard to complain, $12. Okay, let's set up our instruments. The first thing we'll do is enter the White River ground control frequency of 121.625 into our COM1 radio. Next, we'll set KLRU as a direct to into the GPS, and as you can see, we'll fly the GPS for about 180 miles. We have two VORs to configure, so we'll enter Deming 108.6 into the Nav1 radio and set that radial to 75 degrees. Then we'll enter the Newman VOR into Nav2 112.4 with a radial of 330 degrees. And just for fun really, since this plane has a DME, I've entered the Deming VOR into it so I can monitor how far I am from that station. And lastly, we'll make sure our CDI is set to GPS, and then when we get to our first VOR, this is when we'll toggle it to the VLOC to start tracking the VOR. Now I'm checking FSEconomy to make sure that I have my two passengers on board and that they're ready for departure. And I'm going to wait until I get to the threshold before I actually start this. White River traffic, Bel Air 7 Whiskey Alpha, taking runway 19, departing east, White River.
Traffic, Starboard 461 Bravo Golf, turning final, runway 18 to the grass.
You see what I mean about how light on the wheels it gets.
Traffic, Starboard 461 Bravo Golf in the downwind for runway 18.
struggling to get over this mountain.
Traffic stop at 461 Bravo Golf in the downwind for runway 18.
So we have the autopilot slave to the GPS heading for KLRU, and we'll climb out to 13,500.
Warrior 4 uniform turning downwind, runway 32.
So we're finally coming up on 13.5, so we'll set up for cruise.
Traffic Cherokee 831 November to the west, departing to the west, last call.
Okay, the Deming VOR is alive now, but I'm going to wait until I get a little bit outbound of it before I actually switch over to the VOR.
Traffic 2 Kilo Sierra, turn down runway 19, traffic.
Okay, I'm going to check the Morse code on Deming. The Newman VOR hasn't come online yet. Okay, I think I'm close enough now for intercept. I'm going to switch over to the Deming VOR. So we're waiting for the autopilot to intercept the radio, and when it does, the needle will begin to center. And I have the audio turned on for the Newman VOR, and so when we hear the Morse code, we'll know that it's come online. Okay, so we're getting code for Newman, so we have him online now. And the Newman VOR is beginning to center, so I'm going to begin a descent. probably waited too long to begin a descent, as the field is probably going to be hard to see because I'm getting so close to it. Well, the needle is centered, so I should be right at it, but I don't see it. It might be right under me or I've passed over it. I want to kick off autopilot. Now I'm going to circle around and see if I can see it. Aha, there it is. I did. I passed right over. It was under me. So there it is, Condron Army Airfield. Well, there was a little excitement there, but at least my photographers got down and will be able to take their pictures.
Traffic, Skyhawk, 7 miles. Miles out, RNAV 33, practice approach. Got here.
That was lots of fun. Thank you so much for watching.